Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another amazing episode of Vet Talks. We are so excited today. Cougar Zank, who do we have on our show?
Hey, hello again. Today we've got Richard Kaufman, veteran Army, author, speaker, the comeback coach. And thanks, Richard, for coming and sharing some time with us, an inspiration. You've got a good following, man. What's going on? What have you been up to?
Well, thank you for having me on. First of all, I know we've been going back and forth. I'm just trying to save veterans' lives, brother. That's what it's all about. You know, a lot of people hear the number 22, but they don't know the real numbers, and that's why I'm on to talk. The real numbers are 35 first responders, including 22 veterans and 2 active duty soldiers commit suicide every 24 hours.
Wow.
And the reason I bring that up is because that's why I do what I do, because if I can be that guy that can stand in the gap, like somebody once did for me, and have somebody to talk to, then that's why I do what I do to help save as many lives as I can. My goal is to save 1 million veterans. That's my goal.
Man, that's awesome, because that's why I started the show, too. Just a place to talk, man, to be connected. It's hard to get to a room with other guys. We can still show up here and talk, man.
Yeah. Vet Talk. That's what it's all about. It's all about the Vet Talk.
You know.
Richard,
So,
what years were you in the Army, Richard?
Well, I had 2 stints. 86 to 88 is I got thrown out for drug abuse in 1988, and then I joined back in, I want to say 1990, and I was in until 2012. So I did 2 stints in the military.
Wow. Okay, so thrown out for drug
abuse.
What happened there? Let's cover a little bit of that. I'm sure a lot of people in the military, some have been through that and face it or are facing it now. What were you going through? And more importantly, how did you get both in and out of it?
Well, when I first got in, I joined in the delayed entry program when I was 16. And back in 1986, if your parents signed for you, you can go in at 17. So I joined I decided to become a tanker. So I went to Fort Knox, Kentucky, and then Fort Hood for my active duty station. And I got there, you know, I'm a 17-year-old kid hanging out with 25, 26-year-old guys. You know, I was a boy hanging out with men. You know, I was already an alcoholic by the age of 12. So when I got in there, all of a sudden, wait a minute, I'm getting paid to drink. And then I had a friend introduce me to acid. And he's like, dude, you can't get popped on a piss test because they can only find out through Spinal Tap. So I started tripping on acid every weekend for 2 years while I was in the military. So not only was I a drug addict, I was an alcoholic at the same time.
Wow. Okay. And then so they obviously caught that quickly and then they let you go.
Well, what happened was,
did you get out and clean up, or what did you do? Go ahead.
No, what happened is I became such a screw up that I had like 4 Article 15s and like 2 field grades. And then they decided, you know, maybe this just is not for you. So I got home, got in some deep trouble, was looking at 5 years in prison. And the guy that helped me out was a police officer. He stood in the gap for me, said, listen, you know, you get clean, go to AA for 300. I had to go to like 90 meetings in 90 days. I did like 300 in a row. I haven't had a drink since New Year's Eve of 1989.
Wow.
Joined back the military again. I still had the same chip on my shoulder. I was still an asshole. And I got busted a few more times just for being stupid. And at the end of September of 2001, they were going to chapter me out again for the second time until 9/11 happened. And then that's when my life changed. And thank God they let me stay. I begged my commanders to let me stay. And I did like a total of almost 24 years total. And I became a non-commissioned officer. I won Soldier of the Year within 2 years. My whole life changed after 9/11. It was a big change.
So the big change for you was 9/11 was a wake-up call. You're basically teetering in and out of the military, trying to figure it out, and you realize that, hey, I'm sitting here spoiled. making a mockery of my life when serious things are happening and 3,000 people die in a building, you know, that we're supposed to be protecting, which we all know how that feels, right? We're supposed to be there protecting them, and
Yeah.
we're goofing off that's a huge turnaround for you. Now you made that turnaround and you stayed in the military another how many years? When did you
There's like three parts to my story. And the first one was, of course, getting thrown out. The second one was almost going to jail for 5 years. And then, actually 4 parts to my story. Then 9/11, the reason why 9/11 was a big issue for me is where I'm sitting right now, where we're talking, I can overlook the Twin Towers.
So I was going to say, it's your hometown. Yeah, it's your home.
So we actually knew some people that were in the buildings that day. And so what happened was I just started seeing all this, you know, and I realized, wait a minute, you know, these guys just went to work one day and they're not coming home. And here I am living my life all about me. And so something happened. I tell everybody, I don't know what it was. I broke down. I became a broken man. And then I just said, you know, I asked the Lord, I said, if you give me one more chance, I'm going to dedicate the rest of my military career, if I have one, to helping other people. And that's what it all started, to where it started to, you know, worried about taking care of everybody else. And when I became an NCO, I actually lived the NCO creed. And I still believe in the NCO creed, even as a civilian.
Well,
I believe in leadership.
Let's share for the audience, what is the NCO creed there, Richard? Go ahead.
It's just how to be a leader and how to always put others before yourself. You know, I think I've been told that the best leaders are the best followers. And after that, I just decided, you know, that I want to be able to help other people, you know, because I couldn't help anybody that day. So now I just dedicated, from that day on, I dedicated the rest of my life to helping people that can't help themselves. So that's what I do now.
And what year were we retired from the military?
Well, what happened was I moved to New Jersey. My first annual training, I joined the National Guard. We're on our way down to AT and annual training. So I'm heading down. I'm in my Humvee. I'm a Humvee commander. And one of our vehicles broke down, so I had to go recover it. And for some reason, I always wore my soft cap. I never wore a Kevlar. I was that guy that was hard-headed. I put my Kevlar on this day. And I get out to back up my Humvee. I had a private. He was a young E2 driver. I'm backing him up, and instead of him hitting the brakes, he hits the gas, runs over me, runs over the whole right side of my body, and runs over my head. And that's why I'm blind in this eye. I had a stroke in this eye. And so within 2 years, the military said, you know, after all this time, me getting back in, going to schools, you know, trying to become the best, you know, soldier I can be, all of a sudden, because I get hurt on duty, I can't stay anymore. They told me, you can't shoot. We don't need you. So, you know, not only in that same year, I lost my vision, I also lost my career. And that's when I got into a deep, deep, dark depression.
What year was that? Richard?
2012. My daughter was just born. 2012. Well, actually, 2010 it happened, and then they had me med boarding for like 2 years, and so I was going back and forth for med board for 2 years, and then in 2012 they medically discharged me.
2012 they medically discharged you. 2012 you get out, and where do you find your current calling today?
Well, the funny thing is, no matter where I've been in life, I've always been in the health and fitness industry, whether either as a trainer, working in a GNC or a vitamin shop or a gym. I've worked with players from the NFL, Major League Baseball, WWE. And what happened was, I think it's almost 2 years to the day. I was on a podcast with a gentleman. His name is Donnie Boyven of Success Champions, and we were interviewing me about what do I do now? How I train people and stuff like that. Then I told him my backstory, and he's like, "Dude, you need to tell people your backstory, because, a lot of people haven't been through a lot of the shit that I've been through. I am a drug addict, an alcoholic. I came back from homelessness. I dropped out in the 9th grade, but I'm running $1 million company right now. And he just started telling me, he's like, what? People need to hear your story, that if anybody if you're struggling, anybody can come back. And he's like, and you have the ultimate comeback story. And that's where the whole comeback coach thing started. Because I'm like, you know what? If I can help people, go through the shit that I've been through and help them get through it, then, it's just another way of serving veterans, which I couldn't do anymore because I'm not an NCO anymore. And that's how it all started. Then I wrote the book, and I started my own show and been on podcasts, speaking live. So it's just a lot of fun things are happening.
Where can veterans find that? Where can veterans find you, Richard? Where can they come for help?
Now, when I went last 2
website?
years,
Do you have a website?
Check this out.
Okay.
I went to go talk to Gary V because he lives in New Jersey, and I got to hang out with him for a little while. And I asked him, I said, what's one piece of information that you could help me in this whole social media thing? Because I've never done anything. I mean, I'm a low-tech redneck. You know what I mean? I'm not technology advanced. He said, well, just every time you do any kind of content, use a hashtag. Make your own hashtag. So if somebody hashtags the comeback coach, it'll come up on my Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, pictures, Tumblr. Everything is just so. Again, it's just one hashtag.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's just one hashtag, the comeback coach. That's it.
That's impressive.
Yep, and it'll go
coach.
Yep, and it'll go into everything. It'll go into all my speeches. It'll go into my podcast that I have. It'll go into my Facebook Live.
Oh, that's good. I can look. Yeah, I'll look now more. Cool.
Yeah. Yep. So that now I'm just trying to help. My goal is to help 1 million veterans. Because a lot of veterans, and I got my messenger is always blowing up. A lot of guys just need somebody to talk to.
You're right.
Not even need anything done. Just need somebody to sometimes just bend an ear.
Just to care. Care.
Exactly.
Yeah. Spend time, the energy. Like your energy's good. That's what, John Krotek was saying about us. He liked our energy in the show and just try and showcase what we're doing, man. They got shows on everything else, but what I feel is really important is the veteran community. First responders too. I saw you helped a lot with that. Mm-hmm.
It's fun. I love it. And I love having my show. I love being a show host, but I also love to be interviewed because then you can just riff. I don't have to think about anything. I can just answer questions.
Yeah. No, it's good. Yeah.
So, and Richard, we had a few questions from the audience that were earlier that they wanted to ask you specifically were how best can people deal with addiction when they're going through the hard times? And what is it you do when you get through those what do you do now to get through those difficult times so that you don't reach for the bottle or the pill?
Well, even after I got ran over, I never picked up a pill. I never went to the bottle. It's funny, because now, like I said, I'm clean over 30 years. I safeguard myself, and my wife helps me because even if I go out to dinner and I order a Diet Coke, my wife still tastes it. I can't even eat vanilla cookies because it contains vanilla extract, which is also alcohol. So it's kind of like I safeguard myself to where I'm not going to be in that position. To where, I realize, okay, I have, I still have the PTSD, I still have the depression, but the bottom of the bottle is not going to help me at all. It's just going to put me into a worse situation. So it's kind of like, well, the first thing I would say if somebody was struggling is just to reach out, don't be ashamed, get help, because I'd rather be humbled than be a statistic. You know what I'm saying? So
I truly do. I understand, Richard. I went through the same thing. Dad was alcoholic, drinking, drugs, homeless for a while. I went to a program in South Central, just a place to rest again and being around sober people, that too, and your environment, and staying connected and changing your mentality. I want a Jack and Coke every second, but I'll grab a Snickers bar. I go for a Snickers bar.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of it is that mentality that, that I'm strong and I don't need help. And, because we're always taught to be hua. We're always taught
Tough guys. We don't need anyone. Yeah. We need each other more than anyone. Yeah.
We're taught to suck up and drive on.
Yeah.
But when we're alone and we don't have anybody to talk to. So of course you start taking it out on pills or the bottle or even your wife. You start taking it out on your family.
Yeah, your partner. Anyone. Yeah, it's tough. Even yourself's hard to be up around.
Yeah.
No, to manage your mentalities constantly. That's why the arts always helped me. The writing's good. Probably the book was therapeutic too.
The book was very cathartic.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, like I don't remember a lot. So I was drunk a lot.
Yeah,
so
but you channel too. When you're writing, you channel. So it pulls emotional thorns out of you, I believe. For me it does.
So what I had to do is I had to go back and I had to ask people for forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
And also the biggest thing was, forgiving myself of everything that I've done and made the book was like just a clean slate, because that's like, okay, that's where I was and this is where I'm going. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the book came out, a lot of people and family members were like, I told them I'm writing a book and they're like, wait a minute, am I in there? What do you what do you write?
Oh no. Not that one night.
Where can we find Richard, where can we find the book? Is that the
It's on Amazon Kindle. It's called A Hero's Journey.
There we go.
From darkness to light. Now I just want to explain, a lot of people
A Hero's Journey from Darkness to Light on Amazon.com. I also want to throw out Pound Comeback Coach. Pound Comeback. Yep. Go on. Go ahead. Tell them
when I wrote the book, I wanted to get a catchy title, but also something that meant something. So when I wrote the title, A Hero's Journey, and I preface it in the first page of the book. Actually, I'm so blessed because the first quote of the book, now you guys are pretty much around the same age as I am. The opening quote is from Steve Reeves, the original Superman.
Yeah,
about a hero. And the reason why I think a hero is the people that ran into those buildings on that day while everybody else was running away. That's the hero's journey. So that's why I named it that, just to give props to the heroes of 9/11.
No, you're so committed, man. Committed. I know.
And the thing about the book is all the proceeds go to help a group called Joint Task Force 22-0. I don't make any money off it. It all goes to help veterans. So it's never about me. So
A Hero's Journey at Amazon.com. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been such an honor having Richard Kaufman on our show today. Pound Comeback Coach, the Pound Comeback Coach. You can find him by simply going Pound Comeback Coach. That is amazing. Welcome to modern technology. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Richard Kaufman, for being on. We'll have him back on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. Stay tuned.